All right, we have to start with you, Ben. This marks 10 years since you won your gold medal in front of a home crowd. Will that home crowd support motivate you to win this weekend?
Well, it feels like a long time ago, 10 years. 2012 was an amazing event. To be racing not that far down the coast in Weymouth and Portland, and Tom was there, and Pete, and many of the sailors that are in SailGP now. But to be back in the West Country, I grew up not far from here, down on the Foul Estuary. So it's great to be back on home waters in front of a home crowd, and it's always a huge motivation, isn't it, to get that extra push to try and turn it on for the home crowd and bring it home.
It's actually your first event with an F50 on home waters. Do you think that adds to the pressure?
Oh, I don't know about adding to the pressure. I think Plymouth's quite a unique venue. It's great for SailGP because we have this sort of natural amphitheatre, if you like, up here on the Hoe, and then the breakwater tries to help keeping reasonably flat waters, which is perfect for these F50s. And I think the forecast this weekend is really going to turn it on with some good breeze. We had the event last year. Unfortunately, I missed it, so I'm probably a little bit down on experience of racing on Plymouth Sound compared with some of the other sailors. But that said, it's going to be, we've seen from the last two events, it's really, really tight racing, and I think we should just expect more. And like I said, with the conditions for this weekend, it's going to be SailGP at its best.
I hear you might have some royal support on the weekend. Can you tell us what the Duchess of Cambridge might be doing?
We do. So we've got a little bit of a Commonwealth race against Pete and the Kiwi team, which we're looking forward to. And the Duchess is the patron of our 1851 Trust, which is our purpose partner. And that's all about trying to get the message out there in terms of the environment and sustainability and educating young people, which the Duchess is passionate about that and passionate about sport. And she's a really good sailor in her own right. She's sailed across the Atlantic. She's done numerous races. She's sailed with us on foiling boats before, so we're expecting a little bit of extra help, and hopefully we can have a good race against the Kiwis. We'll see how we go.
Are you looking forward to that race, Pete?
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. We've got Lewis Pugh on our boat, and he's just an amazing person to see what he's done. Raising so much awareness is going to be pretty special as well.
Well, Tom has openly said his team is high on confidence after that winning streak. They feel they can beat anyone. Ben, you have beaten them before, and you've been in the last two finals. Is this getting like the Ashes on water?
I think inevitably, when you get Brits and Aussies going at each other in sport, you're always going to get a bit of niggle, which is great. I think that's why we all compete, because we want to be racing against the best talent. And Tom and his team have been really turning it on. The end of last season and going into the beginning of this season. But that said, I think all of these teams have the ability to win events. We were training yesterday against a Danish team, and they were going just fine. So I think, yes, we've got some rivalries, and that's good to have that motivation, I think. But any of these teams can come out and win these events. So a long way to go in the season, I think.
We know that Australian-Great Britain rivalry is across sports. Tom, how important is it for you to beat the British on British waters?
Yeah, I mean, we love playing up the rivalry a bit, but for us, it's another event we've got to do here, and we've got to do well. Competing against Ben and his team and being on home waters, for sure, you just know that you're competing against the best. And so for us, we're just excited to race here again. Last year we had a successful event here. It was a bit of a shock. We were missing 3 or 4 crew members with COVID restrictions, being stuck in Australia or different things, and we sort of shocked ourselves to get the win last year. And so we've got really fond memories here. Last year, I remember it was a heat wave in the UK, and everyone was out watching, huge crowd, and so we're just excited to sail here again.
Well, I'd like to take you back to Sydney 2020, where Ben comprehensively beat you. Maybe tell us what that felt like.
It sucked. There was quite a bit of hype. Ben was just joining the league, and we had just won the Season 1 championship, and there was a bit of hype around how's it going to go, who's going to win, and I guess I probably bought into that hype too. I was like, we can't let him come to Australia and kick our ass, and no one knew who was going to win because Ben hadn't raced yet, and they comprehensively kicked our ass. And yeah, I think I sort of bought into that sort of hype and got right into it, like a rivalry head-to-head. Since then, I think, like we all have, we've realised the level of the fleet's jumped up so much, you can't focus on one boat. But yeah, for sure, it's not a nice feeling getting beaten on home waters, and in the fashion that they did it to us, I think, yeah, for sure, it's driven us to improve.
Well, your winning streak has been incredible. The question is, who's going to knock you off your perch? But throughout history, there's various sporting teams around the world that have dominated at various times. How proud are you to be starting to become one of those teams that are unbeatable at the moment?
We're definitely beatable. For sure, we're on a great streak at the moment, and yeah, I'm actually not even thinking about that. We're just focused on trying to do well here. But yeah, sailing's one of those sports where confidence is huge, and everyone, we keep sort of somehow managing to pull it out of the bag. Like, we can have a couple of rough races and then we sneak into a final and then are able to pull it off in the final, and that's sort of luck's gone our way a little, for sure. And the guys have also performed really well in the pressure situations. And for me, that's just really good to know that I've got a team that when the going gets tough, they're going to be there, and it's no one's going to shy away from a challenge. That's good to know, but that's all I really take away from it. Our winning streak's going to come to an end. I mean, whether it's this weekend or the next event, it's going to happen. So we've just got to concentrate on when that happens, how do we rebound and build the team. We don't want to fall off the cliff like we have in the past, where we've won events and then we've finished last in the next one, and that's what we can't afford to have happen this season. So it's going to come to an end, and hopefully we can keep it going, but we know that's not realistic.
Well, the best in the league say it's a tough fleet to come into, but Seb, you and your Swiss team are the newcomers to the league, and looking at the results, it looks like pretty tough competition out there.
Yeah, it is, and I guess that's why we're here. You know, we're best sailors in the world, but also the boats are incredibly hard to sail, really challenging, especially when it's windy. And I think when it's a bit lighter, we've proved to be a bit more competitive, and this weekend should be quite windy, so it's going to be a challenge, but we're improving a lot, and it's a lot of fun.
You announced this week that Nathan Atteridge will be joining the team as an advisor. What's the strategy behind bringing Nathan in?
Yeah, so I guess, like everyone, we were a bit sad when we heard the Japanese team was out, but we quickly found there was a good opportunity there, and I guess, yeah, for us, bringing Nathan is to try to fast-track the learnings. He's got a huge amount of experience on the F50, so yeah, looking forward to having him joining us today.
Is it a short-term thing, or is this a long-term strategy?
Yeah, I guess you'll have to wait and see. We still don't know ourselves, but for sure he would be a huge asset.
So we've heard that it's a home event for Ben. Tom obviously has a home event. Are you looking forward to having a home event one day?
Yeah, definitely. We're working on it, and it's quite hard to find space in Switzerland, actually. It's quite a small country. We have some big lakes, but not a lot of space on shore, so we're working on that. But it seems like we've got good options in Geneva, which is my hometown. So yeah, it would be great to race there where I started sailing, where I learned sailing in front of my friends and in front of my yacht club.
And finally, you've had a few guests on board this week with your Race for the Future partner. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so we're actually bringing them out today on the water, and we've got with the WE Foundation some really special guests today, some athletes with disabilities, and yeah, they've got some really inspiring stories, really strong characters, and yeah, we're really looking forward to give them the experience of sailing on the F50. Some of them are incredibly good sailors, multiple world champions and Paralympic medalists, and you know, with the WE Foundation, we're really putting some emphasis on backing the bid and trying to bring back sailing in the Paralympic Games.
Oh, it's a great effort, and really excited to see them out on the water. Pete, we'll go to you next. You were frustratingly close to that final in Chicago. Some say you should have attacked the Aussies on the start line. Do you regret not going after them?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people actually made that comment, but you know, when you knew the points going to the last race, the Aussies were tied with the Danish at that time, so we decided to go out and try and put our best foot forward, kind of continue to be aggressive as we had during the week, and we didn't quite get the timing right at the start, so we definitely were on the back foot there and didn't put together our best race, which is very frustrating. But we definitely feel like we've put together a lot better event in Chicago than we have in Bermuda, so we're just trying to build momentum into this week and try and make it through to the final here.
It's been a tough time for Kiwi sport, I hear, with the All Blacks and the cricketers. Do you think your team has what it takes to knock the Aussies and Brits off that top spot?
Yeah, it wasn't the best test for the period of New Zealand sport, but now we're looking forward to trying to do our best this weekend, and it looks like a great forecast. It's obviously a beautiful place to sail, and we had an amazing day out there yesterday. It's going to be a really fun weekend, so just looking forward to getting out there and putting our best foot forward and continuing to improve.
Like Seb, you have a little bit of a different roster this weekend, bringing Jo Alley on board in that strategic role at the back. So Jo's one of, she's won multiple Olympic medals. She's a pretty clever sailor. Did you bring her on to help you tactically and with the communication on the boat, like we've seen maybe the Canadian team do? Yeah, well, with our program, we use a few different strategists. So we've obviously Liv's done an absolutely amazing job for us in the first two events of the season, but it's great to now have Jo on board for this event. She's got an amazing pedigree and really fit into the team well yesterday. So we can't get ahead of ourselves. She's only sailed on these boats one day now, and it's definitely great to have her involved in the group, and she's been involved in our group for a long time actually. So it's great to finally have her in an event, and it's really good fun sailing with her. And do you think you could give me a percentage of what you think your chances are of making that final race on Sunday is? I will definitely be trying 100%, but we'll have to wait and see. These events are about consistency, making sure you do the little things well, and don't make any mistakes. And I think the last couple of events we've showed we've got what it takes to make it through. We've just made one mistake, which has kind of let us down. So it's just about putting together a full event this week. Jimmy, last year you really focused on that consistency. This year you've struggled. What's your goal going into this weekend and for the rest of the season?
Consistency, Lisa.
Perfect.
Look, I mean, clearly we find ourselves in a position that we're in when we started the previous season, which is at the bottom of the table. However, we did show that you can fight your way back, and we're left with absolutely no other choice now to really try and put together a few consistent regattas, climb back up the leaderboard and get ourselves back into contention. There's a lot of things looking back at the past two events. Again, I feel like this season is actually more competitive than the previous one. I mean, the level is very, very high, and I think Ben mentioned it, training yesterday against a few different teams. There was no really teams off the pace. I mean, everyone, whether you're lining up against the Aussies or, some of the newer teams, it didn't matter. So, look, it only takes a few small errors out there and you quickly go to the back.
Well, we heard Pete's bringing on Jo, and obviously Seb has Nathan in his ear. Is there a point where you look at your team, or do you keep on charging?
No, we've got the same lineup, from how we started the season, and there's a lot of things we want to build on and we want to really try and go out there and apply. So the beauty of this competition is we've been able to look pretty, candidly through the data and all the footage. But to be honest, we haven't been so much focused on the other teams. A lot of the errors were our own making. So we've been pretty focused on our own performance and what we've been doing out there.
Say you didn't perform at this weekend, would you change anything for Copenhagen?
Well, we're not going to think too far into the future, We certainly won't be thinking about not performing, Lisa. But look, at the moment, I think the biggest mistake you can do is to look too far into the future. You just have to look at what's in front of you, and what's in front of us today is some practice racing. We've got a whole lot of stuff we want to really go out there and work on, and then really take it race by race and just trying to put together clean, consistent races.
Well, you've experienced the buzz of home events the last couple, and do you think that Ben will have been distracted by the buzz of a home event as well?
I think Ben will be just fine managing his time, to be honest. It's not his first rodeo. And, for us in Chicago, it's busy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, every team's probably going to go through, when you get to that home event, it's very busy, and commercially you're obviously, you've got some demands. But in our case, it had absolutely no outcome. or it didn't affect the results at all. So in a lot of ways, we actually found it really encouraging because you get to see that hometown support, the energy, and just the amount of interest. And I think looking at the way the weather's setting up, it'll be a very heavily attended event in Plymouth.
It's very exciting, and you've actually sailed with Ben under pressure. How good is he when the pressure is on?
Not bad.
Well, a great discussion to kick things off. I might open things up to the floor if anyone else has a question.
A question for any of you, really. How have you been spending your time between events? Tom, I know that you've been at the TP52s, but perhaps for the rest of you, the time is limited, the sailing in SailGP. How have you got your team together and helping to gel? Ben?
Well, I think we talk a lot about the data that we get, the Oracle data we get off the boat. So after each event, I'm sure it's the same for all of the teams, we'll delve pretty heavily into that with our coaches and try and analyse, where we've got some weaknesses, perhaps where some of the other teams doing a better job. And that's a big, big part of the analysis of the event. And that takes quite a bit of time, actually, to run through that. And then, we have, a number of briefings or debriefs, if you like. And then briefings ahead of the event. Most of that happens online because people are not all in the same neck of the woods. And then getting down to the event, like you said, the time is quite limited. We have Thursday, Friday practice, and it's really about trying to maximise the time on the water, really work on those areas that you've identified, perhaps need to make a few tweaks and changes. But it's, that's, I think it's one of the pluses in a way of SailGP is that everybody, knows what the structure is and the time on the water, and that's part of the game, really. That's part of the competition, is how well you can analyse the data and then input that into how you sail the boat in a short time frame of getting ready for the next event.
Well, we'll wrap up there. Thank you all for your time and good luck this weekend. Before we welcome our second flight of drivers, we'll take a quick break to reset, but please stay in your seats and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone. We're back underway at the opening press conference for the Great Britain Sail Grand Prix here at Britain's Ocean City, Plymouth, for this weekend. Please now welcome to the stage someone who's made a bit of a name for himself in Bermuda, Phil Robertson, driver of the Canadian team, Olympian and European silver medalist in the NACRA class, Quentin Delapierre from France, round-the-world ocean racer Nikolai Sersted from the Denmark SailGP team presented by Rockwell, and 2020 Olympic bronze medalist Jordi Chamar from the Spain SailGP team. Phil, after you sorted that chair thing out, we might start with you. 2 events so far for Canada, and you've made 2 finals. If you make it into this week's final, what do you need to do to beat those Aussies?
Yeah, I think it's probably pretty simple, to be honest. You just got to finish in front of them. But that's the hard part. They're obviously a very good team, very slick, and they're the team with the most experience when it comes to that 3-boat final, and it shows. We've done a lot of learning the last 2 events of how to prepare for that final race and how to execute it, and yeah, if we can get there again, we'll definitely put that into action.
We heard in the first flight, Pete is bringing Joe Alley and Seb's got Nathan whispering in his ear. As a new team, how have you managed to just come in straight away and be competitive so quickly?
I guess as a new team, yeah, it's what you do day one really that makes the difference, and every day from then on in is huge, and it's the whole team behind the sailing team as well that's probably just as important. So we've set the foundations down really well. We've come up with a good structure of how to get this team prepared, and I think we've somewhat executed it. What we haven't had is really difficult conditions yet, and that's where we're probably going to struggle, and all new teams will struggle, is when it gets tough on the water, and when it gets windy and wavy, these boats are hard to sail, and we haven't experienced that yet, so we're probably a little bit lucky in that sense, and hopefully that luck will just continue.
Well, we've heard about the Australian-British rivalry and about Australia being a little bit too confident. You're not showing a bit of overconfidence here, but it has been something you've been accused of in the past. Do you think being confident is important in this league?
Yeah, for sure. I think any athlete needs to be confident in their ability, and we're confident in what we can do on the boat and how we sail it, and yeah, we'll always probably hold that, and I think it's a big part of the game, and yeah, we'll stick doing what we're doing. It's a pretty cool boat to be sailing out there, and especially in a place like this with flat water, it's a boat that you can really push. So if you're not pushing, you won't be finishing first.
Well, will we see a shake-up in the top 3 this weekend, or are you expecting Canada, Australia and Great Britain to battle it out on Sunday?
Well, we'd love to be there, that's for sure. I think you always want to get to that final race, and if we're there, it would be great to have the Aussies there as well, because they're probably the team that everyone wants to beat. So to have that opportunity would be another cool experience to go through.
Well, Quinton, I'm sure you're hoping to be there too. Things are looking up for the French team. Do you think Chicago was a turning point and that race win for your team?
Yeah, it was a good event at the end for us. I think we turned our dynamic in the good mode, and yeah, it was our first win. It's also a huge step for a new team or for a team. So yeah, really good.
Well, the team started strong in Bermuda. You were tied for second after the first day, and then lost ground on the second day. And then you had the reverse in Chicago. Not a great first day, but a really good second day. What do you have to do to put those 2 days together?
Just have confidence on our team and just be confident on our plan. I think with this way of sailing, we will have two really good days, and that's what we are looking for. Yeah, it was quite disappointing the second day in Bermuda, the first day in Chicago also. So yeah, that's the goal for Plymouth.
You mentioned team dynamics before. I know you've only had your team speaking French for 2 events, and obviously the addition of Kevin. Do you think that's helping your team improve every event?
Yeah, sure. For sure, Kevin give us a good dynamic. I love the relationship we have on board. I think we also have a good collaboration with tactics and boat handling. So I think we are sailing in the good way. We have to push hard and believe on it, and it will come.
Well, we've been talking about racing on home waters quite a lot this morning. You have a home event in Saint-Tropez in September. Is that the goal? Is that the peak for you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Saint-Tropez is a really good place. We are just looking for Saint-Tropez to make a final, and I think it will be probably with a 4 configuration or something. So we are trying to work on it, and for sure we have to improve in those configurations. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, before then, the next event is the Rockwool Denmark Sail Grand Prix in Copenhagen, where Nicola, you no doubt feel a little bit of pressure to perform for yourself, your fans, and your sponsors. Are you doing anything different to prepare for that?
To be honest, we haven't really prepared for it yet. We just do Plymouth first, and then we look at Copenhagen afterwards. But it's going to be a busy event for us, and I think the challenge for us will be to keep the head in the sailing game and not get carried away in the media and Rockall game, which is, of course, going to happen. But we just got to try to also focus on the sailing, because it is the most important thing for us as a sailing team.
Well, the team just missed out on that final in Bermuda, and maybe a frustrating event for you in Chicago. How do you continue to climb up that leaderboard?
Yeah, we had a few fourth now, and that gets a bit frustrating when we miss out the final by that little of a margin. But we just got to keep improving, keep our head down, and keep accepting we're making too many silly mistakes that's costing us to get into the final race. And hopefully this week will be the one where we break into it. And I think once we break into it, it'll be a bit more easy dynamics on board the team, and it'll probably be easier to go into the routine after that. But for now, we still have to turn any stone and find any speed we can.
Has it been frustrating for you to have the guy next to you just come in with a new team and start making podiums?
I've raced against Phil for many years. I don't get frustrated when Phil do well. I wish him the best. But no, Phil is one of the most experienced F50 sailors here. So yeah, I don't know, new team is the word. Same with Chris Draper. He's not that new. But now we're doing it a bit differently in the Danish team. For us, it's important to be Danish and do it with Danish passports. And that's something that we value a lot. And that's why we're doing it our way.
Phil, just speaking of Chris, obviously he was working with the Japanese. Is he now full-time on your roster?
You're going to have to wait and see.
I'm getting a lot of that this morning. Well, finally, Nikolai, one thing that you have excelled in this season so far is the Impact League. How satisfying was that win for the team in Chicago? And can you share with us some of the things that your team did to really improve on that?
It was very satisfying, and something that we really want to do well in as well. It's important to the sailing team, but also very important to Rockall and One Ocean Foundation. So we put a lot of effort into it, and to be honest, the key to do well in Impact League is to put in the effort. If you, again, turn every stone with, energy use, garbage use, how you transport, how you live, if you do everything you can, then you're going to do well. If you cut corners, then you're not going to get enough points to do well in that.
Well, congratulations. It's awesome to see. Jordy, first of all, big congratulations. You got married last weekend. I hear the honeymoon's in Plymouth.
Thank you. Yes, when we did the wedding, my teammates prepared a video saying my wife that if she marries me, she marry all of them. So yes, here we are in the honeymoon with the team. The official one will be after Copenhagen. So yes, very happy.
Oh, it's great to be on a high, but we have to talk about the racing. Do you think that this season so far has been a disappointing season for your team?
No, not at all. I think, first of all, because we have only done 2 events. But I would say most important because we are really building something strong. We are moving forward and doing very, very big steps forward. Obviously, between events, we're learning a lot also between events, and when we come here, we put it in the water. So yes, we're happy. Obviously there's plenty to learn. I've said this from day one. And still plenty to learn now, but we are moving towards the right direction.
Well, you came out firing on your first event in San Francisco on day one, but since that crash with the Americans, it seems we haven't seen the same fire in the team. Do you think that incident knocked your confidence a little bit?
Well, can be, no? I mean, when we started in San Francisco and we just said, okay, let's send it flat out from day one, and it put us in the first downwind of every race of San Francisco. Until the crash, we've been in the top 3, no, in the first downwind. So at the beginning of the season, we said, okay, a big priority for the team will be to avoid crashes, and yeah, we're approaching it in a different way, no? But the most important and what we are keeping now in mind is that the same sailors that we were in San Francisco and we were in the top 3 in my first day at the wheel are the same sailors that are now here, no? So we're just approaching in a different way, pushing step by step, and yeah, but it will come. We're confident.
Do you think to see you back at the top of the leaderboard, you need to get that aggression that we see maybe in Phil Robertson sometimes?
Well, obviously, yeah, we all know, no? Phil is a great driver, but yeah, more than his aggression, I think what they need the most is his experience because, well, I've only done 3 events and he's now in his 3rd season, but yeah, the experience will come, no? It's just a matter of time that the results come for us, and that's what we're taking.
And what result for you this weekend would make you happy?
Well, I think this weekend especially we're not focusing on any result, in just focusing in do the right things, not making silly mistakes, and sail as we know, no? That obviously when you are in the 50, there's a lot of things going on, and we're just, especially me, trying to focus on feeling the boat and just sailing, no? Try to take the mind out of all the rest and just focus on sailing, also on enjoying, and they will come.
Well, thank you. Personally, I'm really looking forward to see how the racing plays out this weekend. But for now, we might go to the floor with any questions.
Nikolai, can you tell us about the significance of the coach's role in the team's performance, teams generally, particularly their ability to talk to you while you're racing? Is that happening a lot?
To be honest, we haven't used it yet on our team. It's something we're going to try to use this week, where we can talk to us through racing. It's a bit difficult to find or to sort of plan what you want from them doing racing, because it's also hard for them to know what maneuver is coming up, and if you're about to do a pretty tricky maneuver with a lot of comms and then you get information about the next gate, it's not always a benefit. So, but it's something that will be a benefit, and it's something that will be quite cool, especially for the spectators to listen into what we're dealing with and what we're trying to figure out. But yeah, it will develop a lot, and we all need to figure out how we can use it the best and how we can improve it. But it's a bit of a learning for all of us, as we haven't done it before in any sort of racing. So it's a very cool new feature.
Phil, have you used the driver coach communication yet?
A little bit, yeah. It's probably, like Nikolai says, it's something that's fairly new, and it's very congested in terms of comms on the race course on board the boat. So it's quite hard for a coach to pick his moment to come in and say something, and if they get it wrong, they're probably going to get a flaming. So they tend to stay a bit quiet at the moment.
Well, if there aren't any other questions, we will let our drivers go. Racing gets underway this weekend at 2 p.m. local time on Saturday and Sunday. If you haven't got a ticket, be quick. You might just be able to grab one of the last ones, as you are not going to want to miss this weekend. A reminder that you can watch the racing live here in the UK on Sky Sports. The action will also be on YouTube and the SailGP app. Check out sailgp.com/watch to find out how to catch the drama wherever you are. And don't forget to check out the new SailGP Deep Dive podcast for all the inside news and gossip. Good luck to all our teams racing this weekend, and enjoy the spectacle.